Iowa Coalition Against Domestic Violence, quote, nationally, 1 in 4 women and 1 in 10 men will experience intimate partner domestic violence at some point in their life. Most will experience it before the age of 25. We all know people in relationships, and most of us have seen relationships with negative signs. I have witnessed and experienced dating violence, and it is definitely a growing issue in our society. Although many people worry about the societal effects, we should support the bill HF 15 SF 138 to define the lines between domestic abuse. Today, I'll introduce the problem by discussing the issue of dating violence and the misconception that couples who are married or cohabiting are at a higher risk. I will also introduce a few possible solutions by describing what this bill will do for our society and what you can do to help prevent the rise of dating violence. Current Iowa law does not protect all couples that are simply dating. It defines domestic abuse to include dating relationships, but it does not afford protection under criminal law to all dating violence victims. In order for assault to be considered domestic abuse, the given parties must be living together, spouses or former spouses, or have children together. This outcasts boyfriend and girlfriend relationships for legal protections against domestic abuse. According to the Department of Public Safety, quote, in Iowa, boyfriend or girlfriend relationships account for a majority of domestic violence at a percentage of 51.7, followed by spouses at 26.8, end quote. Current Iowa law does not charge abusers in dating relationships the same way they charge abusers who are married or in a cohabiting couple. Instead, it does not allow abusers in dating relationships to be charged with criminal domestic abuse assault. Rather, they're charged with just a general assault. In addition, while charging offenders, there's always the question of whether or not the case should be considered general or domestic abuse. But the fact is, dating violence is domestic abuse. Also, people have the common misconception that couples who are dating or couples who are married or currently living together are at a higher risk. As I had previously mentioned, boyfriend and girlfriend relationships actually account for a larger portion of domestic abuse relationships. Dating violence is more likely to occur if the couple is not necessarily associated with the abuse. So partners may think they have more leeway with the law and the person they are committing the violent acts towards. However, it's important to remember that this bill is not trying to define which group is at a higher risk. Instead, it's trying to provide protection to all parties that are at risk of domestic violence. Next, I'll introduce the various solutions, beginning with what will happen if the bill HF 15 SF 138 is passed. First, it will change several aspects and legal terms of domestic abuse. It will begin by treating all abuse victims the same. Victims of dating violence will have access to the same enhanced legal protections available to married or cohabiting couples. According to Iowa legislature, quote, legal protections include the following: automatic arrest policy, batterer's education program, criminal no-contact order, and escalating penalties for repeat offenders, end quote. The bill HF 15 SF 138 will eliminate the question of whether abuse is considered domestic, which will help victims receive treatment faster. Overall, all forms of abuse will be handled in a similar manner that focuses on helping the victim and preventing this action just from happening again. This bill will also increase public safety. According to the Iowa Coalition Against Domestic Violence, quote, intervening with abusers when they are in dating relationships will help protect against abuse in marriage or in relationships where children are involved, end quote. The HF 15 SF 138 bill would not only charge abusers with criminal domestic abuse assault, but also require them to attend an educational program and treatment evaluation. By defining the lines of domestic abuse, there are less ways for abusers to create excuses for their actions. More severe consequences will enforce the fact that dating violence is not acceptable. And with Iowa law requiring abusers to undergo the program and treatment evaluations, there is a lower chance of relapse. Finally, you may be wondering what you can do to support what I am promoting. So now I'll suggest possible solutions towards dating violence and implementing the bill HF 15 SF 138. The first step towards preventing dating violence is raising awareness. Many people are unaware of the fact that this is a severe issue. So by raising awareness, communities, individuals, and organizations will know how to better respond to these types of situations. You can also contact local papers or websites that highlight these types of news or issues. Submitting a letter to an editor is extremely effective in terms of raising awareness and influencing public opinion. There are also a few solutions to encourage Iowa government to pass the bill HF 15 SF 138. First, you can contact your district's local state senator or representative. When the Student Social Work Association from UNI went to speak with our districts, we found that many of them actually did not realize the issue or that the bill even existed. And following our meetings, we sent letters to reinforce how important this is to us. So I've brought an example of the letter that we sent with us. And as you can see, it's very, very brief and just concise, and it highlights all the important details of this bill. So you might think that your opinion does not matter, but in our governmental system, it actually does matter because the officials do value people's opinions because they want to keep everybody happy. So encouraging your peers and your family to be aware is just as important because they are who vote and influence decisions in our state. Although many people worry about the societal effects, we should support the bill HF 15 SF 138 to define the lines of domestic violence. Today, I introduced the problem by discussing the issue of dating violence and the misconception that couples who are married or cohabiting are at a higher risk. I also introduced a few possible solutions towards dating violence by describing what this bill will do for society and what you can do to help prevent the rise of dating violence. Too often, abuse is overlooked in our society because people would rather ignore the fact that it is happening rather than enforcing consequences and going through what may be a difficult situation. Violence in dating relationships is just as dangerous as violence in married or cohabiting couples. Yet abusers in many dating relationships are penalized at a much lower level for the same crime. According to statistics, many of you or your family members are at risk of experiencing partner violence at some point in your lifetime. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 10 men. So consider yourself, your mother, your father, brother, sister, or even friends. You can help prevent dating violence by showing your local government that you support the bill HF 15 SF 138 to define domestic abuse to include dating relationships, giving all domestic abuse victims the same legal protections. Remember, dating violence is domestic abuse, so charges and protections should be the same throughout the state of Iowa.